of the coming of the Elves and the captivity of Melkor. I saw the first days of the awakening of our people beneath the starlit heavens of Middle-earth, when the world was young and the Valar still contended for its peace. I beheld the long years of shadow after the ruin of the lamps, when Arda lay half in twilight, the Valar dwelling behind the mountains of Valinor, and Melkor ruling the darkened lands beyond. His power crept through every forest and cavern, through mountain and sea, until all that lay east of the Pelori was dimmed by fear. There he brooded in his fortress of Utumno, deep under ice and rock, and from him spread cold and fire, dread and deceit, for his thought was a poison in the veins of the world. But I saw that the Valar were not blind to his growing malice. For in the west, Manwe Sulimo, High King of Arda, sat upon his throne of air and gazed eastward, reading the winds for tidings. And beside him stood Varda, Lady of the Stars, whose eyes were deep with memory. Long they watched, and at last she rose in silent thought and lifted her hands to the heavens. Then did she rekindle the ancient lamps of heaven and set new stars in the sky, brighter and fairer than any before. The heavens blazed with silver fire, and in that hour the Firstborn awoke. I saw it as though I stood among them, beside the still waters of Cuiviénen, under trees whose leaves glimmered like glass. The male and female elves opened their eyes to the world. No song yet had they sung, yet the stars shone upon them as a blessing. The first sound they heard was the murmur of water and the sigh of wind among reeds, and their hearts leapt with wonder, for beauty had been born, and they themselves were part of it. I felt their awe, their trembling joy. It was as if the universe itself had drawn a long breath and spoken their names. Then they saw far off a white light moving through the dark, and some among them feared, for in those days many spirits of shadow wandered the lands, mocking the shapes of fair things. But this light was no deceiver. It was the grace of Varda herself reflected in the stars, and it blessed them. And they sang the first songs beneath that silver dome. And I wept in the dream, for I remembered it in my blood, the song of beginning, pure and trembling, the music of life waking to the stars. Yet not all rejoiced, for Melkor saw that the children of Ilúvatar had come, and his envy grew. He sent forth shadows, creatures twisted by his will, to haunt them and sow terror. Some of the elves who strayed were captured, and whispers of their grim fate in captivity spread, that in Utumno they were tormented until their perfect forms were marred. And thus came into the world the first orcs, mockeries of the elves, made in hatred and spite. When the Valar learned of this evil, grief and wrath rose in equal measure. Then Manwe summoned all the Valar to council in Mahanaxar, the Ring of Doom, before the gates of Valmar. There he spoke with grave voice, and all the air grew still. Manwe said, "The hour has come to confront the enemy. Too long have we left Middle-earth to his shadow. The children have awoken, and we cannot leave them in darkness. Shall we let Melkor claim as slaves those whom Ilúvatar has named his own?" Then rose Tulkas Astaldo, the strong, his laughter fierce and bright. Tulkas said, "Let us go forth now, for the strength of our arms has not waned, and I weary of peace while the shadow festers. Let the chains of Melkor be forged anew." And Aule the smith answered. Aule said, "Even now my forges burn in readiness. The weapons of the Valar lie waiting. Yet this war will rend the very bones of Arda, and the wounds may never fully heal." Then spoke Yavanna in sorrow. Yavanna said, "Let it be so. Better a wounded world than one wholly enslaved." And Manwe rose, his eyes like the clear sky before storm. He said, "Then shall it be done. For the sake of the Firstborn, and by the authority of the One, we go to war." And war came. I saw it in my dream, the battle of the powers, vast and terrible beyond mortal telling. The hosts of the Valar marched forth from Aman, a storm of light crossing the darkened seas. The mountains of Middle-earth shook, the seas boiled, The very skies cracked with fire. Tulkas laughed as he wrestled the beasts of shadow, and his voice rolled like thunder across the plains. Ulmo smote the strongholds of ice with waves that tore mountains apart. And above all the fury of the elements, Manwe rode the winds, casting down bolts of white fire upon the north. And Utumno, the citadel of Melkor, trembled to its roots. The ground split apart, and rivers of flame burst from its gates. At last, Tulkas entered in wrath, unwearied though the war had long endured, and he found Melkor himself in his deepest hall. There the Vala of Shadow gathered the fires of the world to his defense, and the clash of their might was like the breaking of the firmament. But Tulkas overthrew him. He cast Melkor upon his face, and Auli bound him in chains of unbreakable metal, Angainor, wrought in secret ages past for that purpose. Then the Valar took him captive, and all Arda was shaken with a great cry as the Dark One fell. The vaults of Utumno were broken, and his servants scattered like smoke before the wind. The Valar brought Melkor bound to Valinor, and there in Mahanaxar he stood before them, silent and unrepentant. I saw him in my dream, proud still, though his glory was blackened, his eyes burning with cold fire. And I felt a strange pity, for he had been the mightiest of the Ainur, and now was but a prisoner of his own desire. There Manwe pronounced judgment, and Tulkas set the chain upon him. Thus was Melkor cast down, and the long peace of the world began, the spring of the Elves. Yet even in my dream I knew, no chain, however strong, can bind the will that refuses repentance. And as I lay upon the grass of Lorien, I felt a tremor in my heart, a whisper that this peace was but the pause before the next sorrow, for the memory of his laughter still echoed faintly in the dark places of the world.
Under starlight cold and still, they rose from the waters their hearts to fill. Whispered winds through the branches sang the firstborn's journey, a tale began. Oh, stars, ancient and bright, guide the elves through endless night, with steps so soft, with hearts so free, bound by fate by the trembling tree. Melkor's shadow dark it crept through the silence where they slept, chains of fire his cruel design, yet hope was born.